Hi everyone, I'm Muspel, and welcome back to the Global Exclusive Podcast. We skipped last week because, like Gumi, we did not release any new content.
You mean we skipped last week like all players of FFBE did?
Yeah. So this week we've got a new premium unit, Taivas. Is that how you pronounce it? Taivas? Taivas?
Well,
It's
I
Taivas.
think like in JP he's Taivas with a Y, so it would be Taivas. I don't know, but Taivas. I don't care. We can call him Theodore.
Looking at the JP name, it looks like we pronounce Taivas.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
Assuming
good.
I'm getting that right.
So yeah,
okay.
cookie cutter, classic premium unit, right?
Yes,
Alem style.
He does fire damage. He has literally nothing else relevant in his kit.
I guess there is the mitigation, self mitigation. That's kind of the only interesting thing in his kit that's worth maybe mentioning.
I'm not like what are you going to use this for?
I don't know, because the thing is, like on thresholds, like so it's 90% mitigation for 3 turns to caster, right? And it's a Grandis. It's only one use, but it's 3 turns of 90% mitigation. So, thing is, usually bosses hit so hard that this is not going to save him. I think.
Yeah, I mean, this could come up in Clash once in a while, but it's not going to buy you enough time to do a second SLB burst. If you use this and then SLB the next turn, then even if it's EX3, you still have to go through 1 turn without that. Like, it might help with the threshold, but...
And you might not be using Taivas for, like, morale battles anyway.
So yeah, this is one of those things that's... It's not that it's bad on paper, it's just... It's hard to imagine a situation where it's actually useful.
Yeah, it's the opposite, right? It's good on paper, but it's, like, terrible in practice, because you can't really find a good...
It's like, a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But otherwise, I mean, cookie cutter build has the whole Nordic theme going on, has Nordic skill names, has ice and flame chaining abilities with shit modifiers, like absolute shit modifiers. They have 68x. I don't know if he has any upgrades in his kit that upgrade those mods, but like 68x, that's like Rain does more damage chaining.
Yeah, I think you're right. Although Taivas probably ends up with higher attack, so he might deal more damage anyways, who knows?
True.
But yeah, and then what else was I about to say? There was something else about his kit. Oh yeah, damage-wise, he does about 50% higher damage than Auron.
Yeah, and that's how. Wait, what? That sounds a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, but that might change when you start looking at higher end gear and stuff, because that's without Auron having his base forms STMR, or their premium vision cards or whatever. So I'm not sure how that changes the comparison.
Yeah,
I imagine it closes somewhat.
Yeah, Sinzar said that most of these premium units basically do the exact same damage if you just give them the Rolex watch, right? Like if you give them all the same treatment, they all get Taivas as STMR. We're going to get to that soon, and so on and so on. Then they are both like basically the same.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's Fire Auron. That's basically it. And wow, Muspel, I just want to say something before we go into the STMR. Like, I'm really not liking premium banners. How are you feeling about them?
They suck ass.
Because, like, I pulled a Taivas, which I'm happy about because I want his STMR. Again, cliffhanger, more on that soon. But I would also actually want to use Taivas. I actually enjoy his part of the story. I enjoy Season 4. So this is like a unit I would like to use, but like, yeah, fuck me, because premium units are absolute shit on EX0.
Yeah, premium units are bad, and SLB units are worse as premium because it just feels so bad to wait until turn 5, and even getting to EX2 is just brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't, like, EX2, that's like 3,000 VIP points, and a copy, right? And a dupe. Or, yeah, exactly. A dupe and 3,000 VIP points. So I'm obviously just going to EX1, which is kind of a 5-turn SLB.
Yeah, like there's
really poor stats.
The bundles like there was with Tifa and Sephiroth and all that, but that's expensive.
Yeah, they're super expensive. Like 25 shards for $50 or something like that.
Yeah, you get some lapis with it too, but still.
Yeah, so and as you all know, premium units don't have exchange coins for shards either. Like the only way to get shards is either to buy the premium bundle, which is expensive, summoning dupes, or buying the 100 shards once their banner is over, which costs 3,000 VIP points.
Yeah. But yeah,
So yeah,
that's really all there is to say about Taivas, aside from his TM and STMR vision card, which we can go into now, I guess.
yeah, sure,
Uh,
sure.
his
So what about his TM?
his TM is a great sword with Machine Killer. It's two-handed. For him, it also has some static attack. I have not looked at his like top end STMR heavy builds, but I assume he always uses this.
He actually doesn't, as I understand it. So what he well, I guess what he prefers very much depends on what imperils you're bringing,
That's
right?
true.
So you might
Yeah,
be giving him equip bow and shit. But actually, from what I understand, he prefers Reyna STMR, the sword bow of unbreakable faith or whatever it's called, because it has 100% LB damage on it. So with that and with Yuna STMR, you are good for LB damage, because his gearing is a bit tough. So you want to free up materia slots for killers.
that's fair.
So you're actually not, because it's only 300 flat attack, and since it has low static attack, it only has 167 static attack. You don't lose that much by going to Reyna
Yeah, that's true.
STMR, but you gain a shit ton of options for gearing. So
Yeah, still, this is like even if there's better options, I assume this is still not that far behind, making it a good budget
but it's
option.
amazing for new players. I should say that. Like if you pull Taivas, you're a new player and you just pull Taivas, his TMR is going to be like a fantastic weapon.
If you're a new player and you pull Taivas, you are probably not getting him to EX1, and he doesn't have his SLB, and then he sucks.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess well, it's only 20 shards to EX1 if you want to buy them off of
I guess, yeah.
VIP
But
points, but you might not have that. Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think. Do new players get a good source of VIP coins? Because I feel like we accumulate them really slowly, and they might not be able to afford them unless they're shelling out money.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But regardless, like it's 300 flat attack. Even if he's at EX, like it's kind of, if you are a medium player and you don't have Reyna's STMR, then his TMR is really, really good. Like you're gonna be using it on him because it has so
I
much
actually
flat
like
attack.
this approach to TMs as it because the problem we have with a lot of these NV TMs is that we look at them and they're like, okay, this isn't bad, but like there's so many better options these days. But having it be an item that's really good on the unit itself, but not anybody else, I feel like that's a good place for them to be.
Yep. Yep.
Because it means
No,
that
I feel you.
like even if it's not the best, it's still good, at least for
Yep.
someone. But yeah,
We
that's all
should.
there really is to say about his TM. His
Yeah, but
STMR,
hold on. While we're talking about flat stats, I just want to say also to all players, don't forget to do the Chronicle Battle, because Taivas Cloak, an accessory you get from the Chronicle Battle and you upgrade it, is his best in slot because it gives him 500 flat attack. So you want to do that. Yeah, just do
is
it.
that a limited time Chronicle Battle or?
No, I think it's permanent, just like any other. Like you only get one though. So like if
Yeah.
you get two Taivases, then yeah. But
So his STMR is a materia that can be equipped by anyone, well, by any physical attacker.
Which means the sword icon in a unit's description, right? Like if it has a sword icon, it's a physical
For once,
attacker.
these role icons are actually relevant.
Yeah, actually, yeah, relevant. Well, so here's the thing, Muspel. I don't know if you know this, but I didn't. Sinzar told me this on Tuesday, that this is actually the first materia or first equipment in a big line of equipment that actually does this. It's limited to a certain role.
Yeah, yeah. And this, I wonder. I'm assuming that it doesn't count the versatile role tag. That's like what
I actually don't know.
I
Probably
assume
not.
it doesn't. So
No, I think
that
it has
means
to have
that
a sword. Like
if they ever make like a good tank one of these, then that means that when AI Katie gets her NVA, she's not going to be able to use it.
yeah. Oh no. There are some, there are some unique things here. So, it can be equipped. Like you can also play around with it because as long as one of your forms has the physical attacker role, you can equip it in that form and use it in that form, and then shift on the next turn and still have the buff. So, while we're talking about the buff, what does it do?
The buff. Okay, yeah. So it increases your LB modifier by 30x for physical LBs.
Yes.
Like if you're physical in one form and magic in the other, it will not affect your magic LB.
It does affect the physical magic type damage or physical type magic damage though. Like Louise, she would benefit from it, although she can't equip it, but she would benefit from it.
Would she? Has that been tested? I'm just wondering if it's physical damage or physical attack it cares about.
Well, that's what Sinzar told me, so I don't know if it
Okay.
has been tested or not, though. So I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
Sinzar was super convinced it would work on her. So I don't know.
And then it also increases attack by 300% and LB damage by 250%, and it fills your LB gauge by 20. And it has a
Right.
4-turn cooldown.
Right. So basically, a 30x modifier, that's a 10% increase on a premium unit LB, because a premium unit
Most of them
LB is
maybe a little less depending on the unit.
yeah.
Maybe a little more. I am not super familiar with the exact modifiers of these guys, but it's going to be in that ballpark.
I think like 300 is our standard. It should be, at least. Like, I think that's what everyone lands at.
Well,
At the end.
Taivas has 350.
Wait, he does?
Yeah.
Oh.
380 with the mod boost.
Oh.
So
wait. But what does Sephiroth have then? Let me just quickly check that out. Maybe I'm just completely wrong, and that there has been creep. Legendary hero Sephiroth.
Sephiroth is 350.
Okay, so it's 350s, I guess, the standard. So it's less than 10%. Okay. All right. So it's less than 10%, meaning that we're kind of getting a less than 10% increase. Still, though, when you're looking at this, it's a flat increase of the LB. This is going to be like in every whale clear of top-end DV and Cow.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to be putting this on their Laras and cartons. Well, not cartons, but Laras. Actually, not Laras either.
Yeah.
In Cow. Okay, so I'm completely wrong. but Sky. They're going to be putting it on Sky.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got one unit right, at least. The others are not LB damage dealers.
So yeah, it's going to show up a lot as a mod boost. I would not pull for this. Like,
yeah,
it is good, but if you're the kind of person that's chasing top ranks in Clash of Clans, you're going to pull on everything no matter what we say. If you're not, then this item is not going to make the difference.
No, and I mean, already, like, the difference is really if you're chasing the top 100 or something, that's when it would matter, I would say. Because, like, up until then, it's still very much based on your units and your gear and, you know, whatever you've amassed over the years. So,
yeah, like we said, it's less than 10%. And since most units, like Taivas can multicast this skill, nobody else can, it could make your setup more complicated.
Definitely. Although one thing that it has going for it is that it usually replaces the well, I'm going to say usually, but usually replaces the unit's own Grandis. So for instance, Sephiroth has a Grandis that gives him, 250% LB damage buff and 300% attack. However, Sephiroth also, I remember, has an amp on that shit, right?
Yeah, so Sephiroth still wants to use that.
Yeah, but here's why I'm saying I don't think like this does replace it, because many times nowadays we're actually using a different amp than the unit's own.
But Sephiroth's LB is still innately dark, so you still want that dark amp.
You're actually right there. Yeah, you're right. Because like otherwise somebody else is gonna have to bring that amp. So yeah, for Sephiroth that actually sucks. Well, again, he can do both, but then you're prolonging your setup by an extra turn because you need to do Sephiroth's amp. And then you need to do Taivas' STMR. And the Taivas' STMR is only 2-turn duration, so you need to use it on the turn before the burst.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think who would actually like this, I guess.
Well, still everyone.
Out of, like, the good unit. Well, yeah, but, like, to replace their Grandis.
Oh, yeah, okay. And, well, Tifa and Sephiroth both have the element on it. I don't know about Auron. Sky doesn't need anything, so Sky definitely can use this. And Lara is also Lara is a stacking LB burster, so she would just use this before whatever turn she's doing damage on. But again, technically, like, we shouldn't recommend people for pulling for this STMR only. That's just madness unless you're really going for the high ranks. But if you are, then this is going to make a difference.
Yeah, and then the last thing that he has is his card, which, as with all premium cards, may as well not exist.
Yeah, exactly. Because I still don't have a premium card.
But let's imagine what it would be like if it did exist.
Yeah, it would probably have like 125 attack and a killer. That's what I'm guessing.
125 attack and a killer and 80% attack. Yes. And for FFBE units, 500 static attack.
Yeah.
Which is, most of these cards that give static attack, they give it to like a series, which means like 1 or 2 units. FFBE is a much wider net to cast.
Yeah, but Sinzar beat me up on this one immediately because he said, yes, of course, more units can equip it, but none of them are relevant, so it doesn't fucking matter.
I mean, Sky, Carton.
Wait,
Um,
so he mentioned Carton, but I forgot. Would Sky count?
I assume so. She's an FFBE unit. She's an FFBE unit.
Oh shit.
Let's see. Um,
Well, Sky and
who else
Carton are
is there?
definitely amazing for this, especially Sky. Wow. Okay. Shit. Now I have to get this fucker to EX3. Okay, thanks for that.
But yeah, so good card, but preposterously expensive, not worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the banner. So
We have the boss rush. Want to just say something about it?
I haven't done it yet. So
There's a sweet 3,000 lapis reward, so that's nice. Just as last time, there's an easy version and a hard version, although we don't get to, like, it's not like the summer unit boss rush where we got all bosses individually and then all of them together. We just have an easy version of 3 bosses and a more difficult one. This one is much easier, I feel. It's not at all as geared towards a single unit, although Taivas is, of course, built for it. He builds the killers, and fire is one of the vulnerable elements. Earth is the other one. It's also AoE battles, which plays into Taivas's advantage because he's we should have mentioned that his LB is AoE, which is a big benefit up from Auron. Because
yeah. There was a time when AoE was considered a downside, but that was when we were in an era of multicasting. With LBs, it's not a problem because it doesn't cancel.
Yeah, you don't care. Well, the thing about LBs, I guess, is that you can still have shit luck and like it won't hit if you use it after the boss is dead, right?
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to time because you don't have to worry about the first cast from your damage dealer killing it.
Exactly. But this one is weak to fire and earth, and it's fairly easy to clear. Like I've seen people clearing it. Like I use Cyan. I use Cyan as my solo DPS to clear all three boss battles. So that's that should probably tell you how easy it is, I guess. Like how approachable it is compared to the other one.
Yeah, but yeah,
not that Cyan is bad, mind you. But
so
yeah, it's really good, and it has one of these Envy Awakenable exchange tickets that you can use to exchange for NVAs. So I guess you shouldn't really be going for NVAs because NVAs are trash. Instead, my tip to players is look at the STMRs that the units have and go for one of those if you don't have it. Like if you don't have like Infernal Fire Rain, that's a good STMR. So go for that.
Infernal Fire Rain and Eileen have good STMRs. There's some of the NVAs that aren't that bad. Like Fid is fine. Seaguard could be useful. Maybe Ignacio if you're very, very desperate for a fire imbue.
Yeah, then you have to be really desperate.
But yeah, the rest of the units in here are really bad. You could also pick up Veritas of the Dark, who is great for Arena, if you care about that for some very strange reason.
Although Cyan is better, just putting that out there. So if you already have Cyan, well, you could have both, I guess, on your team. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. It's a really simple boss rush. It was enjoyable to do it with Cyan. So I did it with both Taivas because I shittered him and Cyan. And in fact, here's another thing of the premium bullshittery, okay? Taivas EX1, Taivas EX0 was much harder to do a 3-turn clear of than with Cyan. And we all know Taivas is supposed to be super creep and so on, but again, I couldn't use his SLB. I didn't have all the EX stat buffs, so it was actually harder. So that's interesting. It was easier to gear Cyan.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now, since we have some time left over, since that's the only unit.
I know what we're going to do now. We're going to talk about the raging sexual tension, right?
Okay, what we're going to talk about is we're going to kind of do like a retrospective of what happened last year. We're not going to cover everything because we don't have time. We're also going to try to not talk too much about stuff that's still relevant. So, like, for instance, Kresnik and Bulwark, they came out last year. People are still using them a lot. We're not really going to talk about them. People haven't forgotten about them, and what they've done to the game is pretty obvious. We're going to try to look back at stuff that people may have forgotten happened in 2021, or stuff that came out and it's been a while, and we want to kind of look back and say, okay, here's what we think the long-term impact of this was.
Yeah, and I want to say when me and Muspel were going over the list just before the episode, I was actually surprised by some of the things that were in 2021 because they felt so much further away. I think like the first entry on our list is definitely that.
Yeah, the very first entry is something that people might not realize, might have thought was older than this by now, which is tag chainers. They came out in 2021. At least I'm pretty sure that was the first tag chainer, right?
And I mean, I feel like they have been around forever. That's how I feel. Like tag chainers have been here. But yeah, it was with I guess like Axstar and Cleo and whatever came before them.
I think the first one was Rain and Fina, right?
Reina? No, wasn't it? Wasn't it Laswell and Reagan?
They came out after.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so Rain and Fina were the first. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, at least that's what it looks like to me from looking at this list.
No, no, I trust you.
I'm just making sure I didn't miss somebody
I
further
believe
back.
you.
But yeah, so tag chainers. The first batch was not like they had tag skills, but their tag skills were generally not very relevant.
Yeah.
It wasn't until who was the first like genuinely good? Who was the first unit that could use tag chains and their tag chains were actually relevant? Because most of them were damage.
I'm gonna say Oliveira because I don't think it's anyone before Oliveira.
I feel like, I mean, I know Reno wasn't top tier or anything, but I feel like Reno saw a lot of use.
Who?
Reno.
Reno who? Like, is this
Reno,
one of those,
Reno
you know,
from
can these nuts fit? No? Okay.
Reno from Final Fantasy 7, the NBA.
NBA. Oh. I forgot that unit exists in FFBE. I'm sorry.
Like, he was far from top tier. I think it was mostly because he was free. He showed up in a lot of clears for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, there were obviously better units than him, but then there was also,
when we're talking about tag chains, I do feel that Gumi and Alim are valuing tag chains highly, because we see that constantly with tag chain units, they do less damage. So we've seen this in the Dragon Quest Monsters banner. We've seen that with, well, Oliveira is maybe an exception because Oliveira actually does really good damage anyway. But we have, well, everyone else with tag chains, even the Eldrick Bros. They do. Eldrick Bros were 2021, right?
Yeah.
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 They've kind of done, you know, not top tier damage because they seem to value a unit that can change for itself.
Yeah. So, you know, it's the first units with tag chains, like we said, they didn't do a whole lot. Oliveira, I think, is like you said, the only unit with relevant damage on a tag chain. But I think it makes me hopeful for the future because chaining kind of sucks. Like it's not as bad as it used to be now that most of our families are less miserable, but it's still a frustrating mechanic. Hey, I just pulled Ice Reaper Kurosame from the free pull.
Congratulations. I've already done all my free pulls. But no, I agree with you. I would like to see more. Like, I tried to put Oliveira in my clears just because it's so fucking convenient that he no, but I'm being serious. I am putting him everywhere, and the only thing I think right now is stopping me from enjoying tag chainers fully is the stupid 100 chain requirement on clears for irrelevant content.
Yeah.
But yeah, tag chains came out this year. What else? What else do we get? Oh, let's talk about Asura. That's fairly early in the year as well, right?
Yeah, so...
Or did I skip something?
No. So Asura was the last hurrah for real trials.
Yeah, like, there was a thing called trials back then.
Yeah, so hard bosses that were not time limited that gave you meaningful rewards.
Yes.
And that has not been a thing since Asura. This was a great fight. It was the first fight. Actually, hang on. Wasn't Genie's after Asura?
Genie's... it wasn't even Bahamut after Asura too? But I remember Asura as like the last fight that people kept rerunning and revisiting. And like if you just look at Sinzar's channel, he has so many clears of Asura because it was kind of a really good benchmark in many ways for your units, and it had these mechanics where new units with powerful mechanics could kind of negate it. So people kept revisiting it.
I guess the thing with Asura is that it had a complicated AI with real mechanics, and it didn't feel gimmicky. Because, like, the stuff after that, Genies did very little aside from smack your tank very hard.
Exactly. Like, either you survived it or you cheesed it.
And Eamon wasn't easy, and he had a unique mechanic, but it felt like a gimmick fight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, agreed. Like, Asura, I still think Asura... I'm standing by what I'm saying. Like, I think Asura was the last real trial. Now, we have had some difficult trials after her, but, like... She was definitely the last real trial that I feel was a trial and not a gimmick, not a weird cheese strat or something like that. It was an actual trial with mechanics and complex AI. And back then, it took many turns. Like I think people were clearing it in like 15 turns and stuff like that.
I would love to see more stuff like this, but it seems like
we
all
are
that
not gonna
has
get
now
it.
gone into time-limited content.
Yeah,
which we'll
it's
get
been
to later.
confirmed. Like cow is the only thing that kind of makes that matters in FFBE. So, and that has been confirmed. So
yeah, the next
so
thing that happened this year was that Alan completely forgot why it was that they gave true dual wield units the higher chain cap.
Oh yeah,
and they introduced Savior of Souls Lightning's STMR and some other items that boosted the chain cap over time. Yeah. And now the result is that true dual wield units almost always lose to TDH units.
Yeah. Listen.
So good work there, Alan.
Deja vu, right? Because this has literally been happening. Like this battle between dual wield and and TDH has kind of been happening since the dawn of FFB, and they still haven't.
Yeah, like when the game first came out, it was okay. Dual wield units are better at all times because they cast twice. So let's give TDH units. Let's introduce like actual true double hands that can use two-handed weapons and take advantage of variants. Let's give them multicast.
Yeah.
Okay, now nobody's using dual wield units. Let's give dual wield units true dual wield and a higher chain cap. Now they're winning, and now we're back to. Oh, man,
yeah, but because you're absolutely true. So like dual wield was just better for multicast, and then but you forgot one, which is like true dual hand started becoming good before multicast because of the high stats. There were some units you could cheese this on, especially on JP where you could stack TDH. It wasn't as big of a thing in GL because we had a harder time getting that full cap. But yeah, it's kind of been this race. Like one of them has been better, and then the other one gets like a buff to just make it better back again. So if I look into my crystal ball or ask my magic 8 ball, what's going to happen is that TDW is going to get an 8x chain cap coming up, and that's like, or they're going to get variants actually. You know what? That's actually going to happen. Like we're going to get.
No, they're just going to rate. They're going to. What they tried with TDH at first was they raised the TDH cap to 400%.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So they're going to try raising TDW to 300%.
Yes.
And then they're going to give it a higher chain cap. And then they're going to do that to TDH because it's going to fall behind again or something. I don't know.
And it's interesting because, like I get it now. Now everyone is doing damage with their LBs. So kind of being a TDW right now is worse because given the morale gear that we have from Cow as well as Lightning STMR that you just mentioned, you can get TDW units like Tifa and gear them TDH, which is like the preferred build for her now because she gets variance and does a lot more damage.
Yeah.
So it's funny. they've been playing this game for a while.
Yeah, FFBE is a game created without thought.
True that.
But the next thing on my list is Zidane. Lightning fast Zidane.
Definitely the start of a meta that still hasn't ended.
I would have to go re-listen to the episode, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm pretty sure that when Zidane came out, I said he was terrible. And maybe it was people on the episode, maybe it was people on Reddit, but everybody was like, I mean, it's not that he's great, but is he really that bad?
Yeah.
In hindsight, yes, he was that bad.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, he has done some fucking unforgivable things to FFB, okay? I am tired of singing for 5 fucking turns a day, okay? I don't want that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want that shit.
Zidane was sort of the genesis of the modern unit design of this unit has an LB, and that is
yeah, exactly. Like, well, I mean, to be fair,
he's more bare bones than some of them because the modern units do like provide some of their own buffs at least, which Zidane really didn't. But it's still, his design is god awful, and they've copied it in almost the worst way that they could, just over and over and over again. And
I hear what you're saying. Like, I feel that LB or making the game all about LB cappers was starting to become a thing already with, Lateral Reagan and so on, because units were starting to go down that path where, even Tifa was kind of starting that meta. But Zidane was really the one, like, the unit, you said it well, the unit has an LB, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, and we're still getting these units. So this is still what's happening, and I get it. Like, one thing, like a part of me likes it, because I think an LB should be powerful. That's the unit's signature move, right? Like, it should be something that's strong and that you should really desire to use in a trial as soon as it's up, kind of.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be the only thing they have, which is the problem.
That's why I hate, like, all of these unit designs where it's kind of all about just getting the LB up again. and again and again. It's like it's the benefit, or it's kind of the pro that the Sephiroth has over the SLB premium units, which is that Sephiroth can burst back to back if you like just make sure that his LB is filled.
Yeah. And even then, it'd be fine to have a unit where once in a while they get a unit where the unit is their LB and their whole kit is built around supporting that. And that would be okay, but it's every unit nowadays. There's almost nobody that does anything different, and it's so boring.
Like they do try to do it sometimes different with like Tiana, with
Well, that's Gumi. I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, Alim does nothing of the sorts. But I was also going to say the units that don't just have an LB are usually just worse. Like chainers, like Noppy, like Duran, like even Oliveira. Although Oliveira's biggest burst does come from their LB, but it's kind of like still not there. So these units are worse. Like they are not there because.
Oh, Carton's fine, but yeah, for the most part.
True. Carton is the exception.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else is on your list?
The next thing on my list is the fan designed units. We're not going to go too deep into these because most of them are still relevant. I just kind of want to say that I think this is what saved 2021 from being a horrible year, or at least this is part of what saved it. Not all the fan design units were great, but this was where we started to see unit design again that had some thought put into it. Units like King Bahimi, and Cacteria, Igni, units that were more than just a walking LB. Not all of these units, like Igni has some other stuff. It's not super relevant, but they put thought into it. King Bahimi was great. Cacteria was great.
I mean,
it was just nice to see something where they took more than 5 minutes to design.
I mean, even Noppy, she was underwhelming both on release and after her. Well, not underwhelming after upgrades, I guess, but like she was still a fun unit with some thought put into her kit. And so that was kind of when Gumi started showing us that, there was another way of doing units other than the Alim way.
Yeah. And then the next thing on my list is Clash of Wills, which was, we talk about this pretty much every month. So there's not, I don't want to
I mean let's just repeat.
And even if I did, I'd want to give it its own episode to really breathe. But Clash of Wills was, it's them trying to reignite the love that people had for Trials. And it has its problems. We've talked about them a lot, but it's still a big improvement.
It's definitely going in the right direction. And listen, Muspel, we can't talk about... Well, I mean, or at least I feel they're experimenting. They're trying new things. They're doing different things.
I mean, there's arguments to be made that Season 2 was worse than Season 1. But it's still better than what anything ALM is doing.
Yeah. And listen, we can't mention Cow without giving me full credit for it being released on GL. Because I am obviously the man behind Cow. Obviously. Like, nobody else could have had that idea. Okay? Nobody. Like, it has to have come from me and nobody else. Like, nobody is smart.
So, did you come up with a scoring system?
No. That was all Gumi, okay? Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But it's we joke around about it, but of course there are other games that have similar systems. I compared a lot. Like when we were talking about this in the pod, when I was saying, hey, this would be such a cool format. And then it happened, so that's why I take blame, I guess. But no, but at that point, like Arc Knights had it for a while already, like that format where you're kind of imposing handicaps on your own party. But one of the biggest ones that I really talked a lot about still hasn't fully happened, and that's the one where healing modifiers get tuned down drastically. And where you get to fight a battle of attrition again.
I mean, I was the one that brought that up first.
Yeah, no, I was just saying they finally... in terms of Cow, kind of like we were talking about like battles of attrition and getting healing down a lot. But I was saying like, hey, as a modifier in this format where you're imposing a handicap. But that's still like they've.
Well, they were the ones that proposed that. Like that was in the original proposal.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was so happy about seeing it, because that was one of the handicaps we were talking about in the episode that like came before Clash. But unfortunately, that has still not happened in the way I at least hoped it would, where it would actually create a battle of attrition.
They added it as a mechanic on a boss, but it doesn't matter much on that fight.
At all.
But at least the potential is there.
I hope they keep experimenting with that. I really hope that we do get this battle of attrition type cow battle where I mean, there are many ways of doing it in AI, but I would just want to have like a battle where you kind of have an attrition down to 20%, where that might be an HP lock or whatever the fuck. And from then you need to do your burst because that's obviously what we're scored on. But at least up until then, I would really like to kind of make mana and amount healed matter, right? And of course, yeah. And it needs to be across the board because we have units like Bulwark that just heal percentage. We have units like fucking Tillith, right? She also heals percentage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess my closing thought on Clash of Wills is that even when it's bad, it still makes me hopeful for what it could be. And there's not much in the game where I can say
there's just another human activity that you could say the exact same thing about. Can you guess what it is?
So the last thing on my list is the worst thing to ever happen to the game, and that is premium units.
yes, fuck yes, so many times.
So yeah, so they started in 2021 with Cetera Descendant Aerith, and they tried to soften the blow by giving her to us for free at EX2. And I think it worked. People didn't complain as much as they could have because they were really excited over their shiny new toy. But every single other premium unit since then has just been unrelenting misery. Like, people were hoarding for Sephiroth and Tifa, and I imagine most people got one or both of them if they were hoarding like that. But everything since then, oh my god, it's just, holy shit. It's so bad.
I agree. But here's the fun part, because obviously we know premiums came from the Alim side, from the JP side, as a way to kind of when I say make more money, I don't mean that in a negative term. I mean that just like a game has to be profitable to work, right? Like they have to get salaries. But it was a way to just monetize banners more. That's what I want to say, right? Like, it was a way to get players to invest more resources into getting the units and getting the EX levels. And I think it's great because Gumi kind of counterproved that that's definitely not the only way you monetize banners, or maybe even that there are better ways of monetizing banners, because Gumi has been not doing premium units at all. They've instead been doing cow units, and those have been working really well. Because, there are these natural incentives for EX3, but they're not a must in the same way as well, they are if for super high clears, obviously, but like not for the unit being usable is what I want to say. And that's the big difference, right? Because you still want to enjoy your units. You don't want them to be absolute terrible unless you have EX3. So yeah, I just...
Yeah.
Maybe we should be doing what Sinzar is doing, where we all just collectively only care about cow and just forget that premium units like Taivas even exist, even though they're powerful.
Yeah. I think at the time that they started doing premium units, I think what I said was something to the effect of, Gumi is caught between a rock and a hard place, because these units are designed intentionally by Alim to be overpowered, and they're priced to match that. So Gumi only really has a few options. The first one is they nerf the units, which is going to make people mad. The second one is that they release the units at a normal price point, and then people skip every other banner because they have these overpowered units. And the third option is that they delay the units until they're not overpowered, which still makes people mad. And the fourth one is release them as premium units, which make people mad. So they were stuck in a horrible situation. I think in hindsight, I still wish they would have nerfed them or delayed them.
Or did the kind of the GL treatment where I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's not worth thinking about. Premiums suck, but we don't have to worry that much because we have the better content on GL. We have cow units are not premium, so yeah. I think it's more hype to cow, honestly. Like, that's.
Yeah. This is kind of off topic, but I would be fascinated to see, like, do JP players, like the not just the ones that hang out on the Discord server, but the actual ones in Japan, like, do they know about cow? Do they talk about it? Are they interested in it? I'm just wondering, like, do they clamor for Alan to add
there is this,
similar?
Didn't happen that long ago, but it was either an update video or something else where Alan did say that there is a new content format coming to JP, and a lot of people suspect that it could be cow in JP as well. So I don't know. But yes, I do think that people look at cow and fucking drool because it's so much better than what, like, so much better than DV in every aspect. I just wish, like, my gripe with cow, like, I think it's fantastic. I think they're experimenting, they're trying new formats, and I'm actually having fun with the game. Many other players are saying that again, that like cow has brought back their joy for the game. I just wish they would do away with the 100 hit cap. Like, fuck that shit. No, nobody wants to do that. Come on.
Yeah.
Nobody, literally nobody wants to do that. Please get that shit out.
Yeah. Or, like, I'm fine with having a chain requirement, but it needs to be something that is reasonably attainable with the families that people actually use. Because as it is,
Yeah,
it's
just dumb,
so
and like
high.
you have to like set up a
100
turn
is-
for
100 is
just
too
breaking
much.
the chain cap, which also doesn't make sense because then you just need to chain to 100 on one turn, but then you don't on your killing turn, which is just dumb. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. I think 70 or 80 would be maybe 60. Like 60 is 2 units with SR, but if you don't have units with SR, you can
Well, 60
use, like,
is 2
3 or 4
units with
units with
SR
something
and a
else.
finisher, but yeah, which is usually what you do.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like they could do a bit more, as you're saying, maybe go to like 70 or 80, where you're forced to kind of have your supports chime in as well, right? So you're actually tagging in Bulwark there as well or something,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah, 70 is going a bit out of your way to do it. 100 is just like you need to devote an entire turn to it, basically.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is dumb.
But I am so happy that we have Cow. I'm honestly so happy that we have Cow, and I'm honestly so happy that I am the sole reason for Cow existing on GLs. You know, you can keep praising me, all listeners. Actually, nobody's listening this far in. Like we could be talking about erect nipples. Nobody's gonna know.
And that's the end of the episode. Everybody, see ya.